just going to block my cushion. I've just finished this second side of my green sunflower cushion. That's for my daughter. And you'll remember the dye, the yarn that I dyed, I was saying it was a little bit more blue. So if you look at the colours compared to that one, it's not too much different. I mean, that is a bluey green, but that one I put a little bit more yellows through it. And I didn't have as many of the lighter colour ones, so I just sort of made a little pattern there. Whereas with the first side, I sort of alternated one light and one dark square. So this panel is already blocked. I've already ironed that one. But this one you can see isn't. It's still all curly and bumpy. So I'm going to block that now with my iron. So what I'm doing is I've just got my iron here and I've set it on, let's see, what setting is that? So not linen, I set it on fairly high. There's one for silk there. I think I'll probably put it on cotton. I'm setting for cotton. I'm just going to very lightly iron the back of the cushion first of all, mainly with the steam. So just like shooting the steam and just very lightly ironing it. I don't want to press down too hard, otherwise it can squash my fibres. And with the wool, you know, it can felt it. And if I did it with acrylic, it could actually melt the acrylic because it's, you know, it's a plastic-based thing. So I'm just mainly using the heat from the iron and just very, very lightly and gently going over there. So almost not even touching the actual piece. Alright, not sure if that's filming really well. You can see that just keeps steam, 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 steam. And then I'll stop it. And then I've only got one hand here, but I will just pull and stretch these squares out so that they're nice and even. As I said, if I had some foam mats still, I would probably pin it out on foam mats. But because it's a cushion, I'm going to be sewing the sides together. It's not going to be mattering too much. I just really want to flatten out the front seam so that you can see the white contrast there really nicely. So I'll just put my phone down and stretch this out and show you when it's finished. So I think I've got it where I like it now. Yeah, you can see that nice white contrast, whereas before it was blocked, the squares were sort of all bunched up higher. So you can see that nice contrast now. And once I sew that cushion together, let me just zoom out a little bit there. So once I sew the cushion together, it will stretch out even more the squares. So yes, I'm really happy with that. And as I said, if you have foam mats, you can get them from Bunnings or sometimes toy stores, or the bargain shops have them. They just look like a jigsaw puzzle and they're made out of foam. And I did use those, but mine disintegrated, so I had to throw them away. So I need to get another set. And then I would do what we call wet blocking. So again, it can be finished like this, and with a spray bottle of water, I would just lightly spray all over it so that it has a little bit of a damp. And then the wool, when you pin it out, so you would then get pins and pin every so often onto the foam boards, straightening out each bit and each corner so that it's all lovely and straight. And especially if you're making a blanket or a shawl, you want to do that so that it looks lovely and all even. But as I said, because this is a cushion and it's going to be sewed together, you're not going to see if there's sort of like a little bit of a curve there, because that will all get sewn together and will straighten out. And so then with wet blocking, you spray the piece, pin it all out and let it dry. And then when it's dry, when you pull the pins out, it will stay in position because wool has a memory and it will actually stay in the position that you've pinned it. Okay, so I hope that helps with my blocking method for the cushion. If you have another method, I'd love to know what it is. I have tried a few different ones, the wet blocking, I've tried this, and yeah, mainly those two is what I do, just with the iron. And then, as I showed you the other day, I also have a hand steamer for my wool dyeing, and I can also use that and shoot the steam at that. So yeah, again, as I said, just shooting lots of steam on it, and then pulling it with both hands straight stretching it out so that you get the nice desired effect. But I really do need to get the foam mats, because if I'm making a bigger blanket, then I want to be able to block those pieces better. The other alternative is, before you even sew them together, you can block just the individual squares. So, and there's lots of different techniques for doing that too. Again, you can wet block them on a foam mat, or even just a towel, just an old bath towel, and pin them out on that. You know, make a double layer of the bath towel on your bench somewhere and pin them on that. And that works just as well, because they're only little squares.